on that note, welcome to our Africa Tech segment on Network Africa. A new report released by the World Bank says that while the internet, mobile phones and other digital technology are spreading rapidly throughout the developing world, there's still an immensely slow growth in job creation and other areas of public services. As a result, the World Bank has some suggestions. Those include closing the digital divide, thereby making the internet universal, affordable, open and safe, as well as strengthening regulations that ensure competition among business.
The African continent has witnessed a rapid spread of digital technology over the last couple of years. But the new World Bank Group report says the anticipated dividends of higher growth, more jobs and better public services are falling short of expectations in the developing world. The number of internet users worldwide has more than tripled since 2005 to an estimated 3.5 billion people. However, the new report says the rapid digital expansion has been directed toward the wealthy. 60% of the world's population is excluded.
The World Development Report is focused on what we call digital dividends. You know, the digital world has exploded. Every day there are 4 billion Google searches, but there's still 4 billion people who are really not getting access to the internet and receiving the full benefits. So what we know is that while it's spreading quickly, it's not spreading evenly. It's not spreading especially to the poorest. So we are making very specific recommendations for what countries can do to help their citizens actually begin to reap the real benefits, the dividends of the digital revolution.
Well, we're joined by Kyle Venters. He is an online editor of The Witness in South Africa. Kyle, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure. Now, part of what we heard in that report states that 4 billion people still lack access to the internet. What do you think the government in those countries, those affected countries, should be doing to reduce that number to a significant extent?
I mean, as we the governments have an extremely important role to play in encouraging the kind of activities that will make the internet more accessible to people in developing nations. Government need to encourage more public and private partnerships. In the report by the World Bank, it said that this is extremely important. Government also need to foster these kinds of relationships and provide the platform for these dialogues to take place. African countries need to be in a space to position their citizens to be at the forefront of the digital revolution. This is not only by something as simple as a citizen having the latest smartphone. Developing nations need to provide the kind of platform for its citizens to be a part of the revolution, whether this be in free Wi-Fi access in schools and public libraries.
Now, Kyle, it seems to come across as though governments in developing countries do not set enough funds aside to develop technology. What do you think is the problem and how could it be resolved?
So we know that Africa faces many infrastructure woes, which are hindering the development of technology services that are offered to citizens. This is mainly because the cost of infrastructure is so high. In developing nations, we're battling issues such as poverty and other social issues. This is where the majority of government's focus lies. We all know this is important and it needs this kind of focus. But many developing countries don't see that the development of technology as a priority. However, we need to start sharing that same focus that we share with other issues that affect our developing countries. Share that focus with that of the technology industry, because it will be one of the factors that will one day alleviate poverty through the creation of jobs and broadening a citizen's career opportunities.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Tech right here on Network Africa. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Kyle Venters is an online editor of The Witness in South Africa.
Countries can do.
here's our feedback of the day. Yesterday, we asked you what your thoughts were regarding West Africa being declared Ebola-free. And here's our top feedback. It's coming from Olanipeku Oyewole. He says, congratulations to West Africa for winning the war against the Ebola virus. The government and the people of Africa need to show the world that they have learnt their lessons. The Lassa fever epidemic is another case of health system failure, an index of a failed political system where leaders are not alive to their responsibilities. Why should Africa be associated with serial disease cases of epidemics, pandemics, and other negativities? That's from Olanipeku Oyewole. Thank you very much for sending us that. And on that note, here's our question of the day. How can domestic violence be significantly reduced in Nigeria? Feel free to send us your feedback either via email or Twitter. The address and handle are right there on your screen. Thank you so much for watching Network Africa right here on Channels Television. I'm Cynthia Are.